Hi there. These comments are for HM. I am Michael. I'm getting ready to listen to your integrated speaking practice test. I know that you had a question about pacing. You sent that into an email to me earlier today, and I sent a lesson I just wrote a couple days ago to help you with your pacing. I call it thought groups and blending. That's the TOEFL calls it pacing. But you improve in that area. That makes a big difference with your delivery. Okay, so the next thing is I have here, and as you know, I am from BetterTOEFLScores.com. I'm the founder, owner, and the material writer. So anybody at YouTube, if you guys want some free TOEFL lessons, check them out. Just go over to BetterTOEFLScores.com. I have over 920 TOEFL lessons. As you know, YouTube, I have over 5,000 TOEFL videos, probably more than anybody else on the internet. I cannot say that for certain, but maybe. Okay, let's get started today. I'm going to listen to your speaking practice test called Founder Effect.
According to the reading, founder effect is how the separation of a few members of a certain species to a new environment could form a new population with less genetic variation. As a result, this new population are more susceptible to genetic or climatic factors and could be easily transformed to a new species which is totally different from their original species. The professor gives an example about chrysanthemum seeds. These seeds are large seeds originated in Australia, but when a few of them transported to a nearby island by wind or any other factor, they formed a new population with less genetic variation, and they were susceptible to changes, so they formed new species which are much smaller than their original chrysanthemum species in Australia.
Wow, is that a tough one or what? Okay, so let's go back to the rubrics. Yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to say you're 23 to 25 points on this. You have some problems with your language use, maybe passive voice once or twice, maybe a few other things in there. I'm going to listen to it again one more time, and maybe a few problems with pacing. It just means pacing. You have to group ideas into 4 to 5 what we call stress words. That becomes a thought group. What you're not doing very well is within the thought group, you need to blend those words together within the thought group. That helps you to speak naturally. And that's what you're not doing very well. All right, let's listen to it again.
According to the reading, founder effect is how the separation of a few members of a certain species to a new environment could form a new population with less genetic variation.
So you could probably do a little bit better when you get at the end of the thought group. You need to pause. Your tone goes up slightly, so you could probably do better on varying your tone a little more at the end of your thought groups.
As a result, this new population are
Good transition word.
more susceptible to genetic or climatic factors and could be easily transformed to a new species which is totally different from their original species. The professor gives an example about chrysanthemum seeds. These seeds are large seeds.
When you say gives an example, why does he give that example? To expand on this academic concept or to illustrate this point.
Originated in Australia, but when a few of them transported to a nearby island,
when a few of them were transported to a nearby island. So you didn't put the be verb in there to form the passive voice.
By wind or any other factor, they formed a new population.
That's okay, they formed. So your main verb is good, right? You had trouble in that dependent clause getting the auxiliary verb in there. So remember, when you're forming passive voice, you need the be verb plus the past participle. You need both of those things.
With less genetic variation.
Okay.
And they were susceptible to changes, so they formed new species which are much smaller than their original chrysanthemum species in Australia.
Okay, so I think that my score is probably pretty accurate. So I said 23 to 25. That's right. So you had the problem with the passive voice. Maybe when you move to the listening passage, maybe more accurately, more completely show what that relationship is. And the speaker in the lecture gives an example of this persimmon and seeds to illustrate this concept or something. Say something like that to help show what the connection is. Be careful of your language use, and then go over to pronunciation lessons 41 through 44. As you go through those lessons, focus on varying your tone, number one. Or how about this? Focus on one, identifying your thought groups of 4 to 5 stress words. Two, varying your tone when you get to the end of the thought group. And three, blending those words within each thought group. As you go through those lessons, focus in those 3 areas. That can help you with your pacing a lot. Okay, so your score here is 23 to 25 points. Thank you, sir.